In today's quick 5-minute video, I wanted to share a lesson that happened during my sales training with the team this morning. We were covering and taking a deep dive into the script, looking at discovery specifically, and one of the agents brought up a call that he had listened to where another agent had sold the policy and where it previously was marked as not interested by several other agents on the same team. And what we ended up uncovering was that those agents prior were taking shortcuts. And even though they had presented the Funeral Consumer Guardian Society, which arguably is one of the main reasons that people buy policies with us from Lincoln Heritage, it isn't the be-all end-all. You still have to go through the sales process. You still have to uncover the why. You still have to make strong recommendations for your clients, or none of it matters in the first place. So I hope you enjoy, and I hope you take a second look at how you're currently selling, or rather helping your clients into the best policy for them. Cheers.
Good. Education. We're searching for opportunity to be able to refer back, right? Because if they get something that sounds reasonable, like 10,000 for 65, right? As an example, we already know that they're price shopping probably whole life. And so we'll be able to use that information to know that when we get into education and we start talking to them about whole life, or we can say, you know, those quotes you got earlier, those are probably whole life. We're all going to be about the same price anyway, you know, and kind of, so, and sometimes I'll even say, and if you've gotten more than one quote, you probably got 2 or 3, you'll probably notice they're only a couple dollars apart from each other. Have you noticed that? Right? And like kind of get them to tell me that. But also, if I know they've gotten quotes and they've told me they've gotten quotes, that is my absolute favorite when I get to education. So those quotes that you got earlier, you know, the ones you told me for 10,000 for 65 and blah, 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 whatever it was. Did that agent, did they take the time to educate you on the difference between term and whole life? Did they help you understand that? And I would say 100% of the time they didn't. So now we can create doubt. Really? They just gave you a quote and didn't help you understand what that quote was for, right? So really pulling all this information out is going to help us start looking stronger when we get to that point. But also knowing what they've gotten and why they didn't move forward with it will also help us know what not to do. Right? If they're getting quotes for things that are 150, 200 a month, and that's way outside of their budget, but they wanted that much coverage, now we know that we need to help manage their expectations when we get to the end, not fall into the same trap of quoting them what they want compared to what they need. Keep referring back to that. Those agents kept quoting you this amount because that's what you are calling for, but I'm here to tell you that may not be appropriate for you because it's unaffordable. And my job is to try and help put you in a better position, right? And I don't want you keep calling around for something that you can't get and then you pass away with nothing. So I'm not even going to quote you that same amount. Are you open to looking at something that you can afford, right? So always being able to refer back to the information that you got from them in the beginning, but you can't do that if you don't ask. And referring back is important because it makes your presentation, it brings it to life. It makes it about them and where they've been, compared to just giving them generic information that doesn't mean as much to them. So everything we do in the beginning is so, so important in making the rest of our presentation much stronger.
I have a comment, Dana.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Terry called the gentleman by the name of, and
Okay.
I was listening to that phone call this morning, and then there was a history of multiple people getting in touch with Steve. There was one lady that actually got all the way to the end of the quote, and he said, no, thank you. And then by the time Terry got to him, Terry did exactly what you described into uncovering that and to setting his expectation, because the lady that quoted him before, and he said, oh, no, thank you. She just left it at that. And she didn't manage expectation. He said, oh, that's not, that's too much. And she was quoting him like 10,000, 15,000, and I think 20,000. And then Terry uncovered that way in the beginning, started setting the expectation, and then the gentleman ended up with a policy for like $3,000. But it was what he could afford. And he was totally happy with it after several people tried to get through it.
If you could see the little hairs standing up on my arm. I love that. That is exactly what we're talking about here. Is I would say over 90% of the people that we speak to have no idea how this works, what this costs, that there isn't even that there's even an option for them to get 3,000 or something less, right? They just, all sales agents here is, I want 10,000, here's a quote for 10,000. Or I want 20,000, here's a quote for 20,000. We do not give people what they want, we give them what they need, right? And what is the most appropriate thing so we can try to help put them in a better position. So Terry, that's awesome. You should be so proud of going through that.
I am, but all the credit is really to you for teaching me how to do that, and me just, listening to calls and attending these sessions to learn how to do it. I didn't know how to do this a month ago. It's all really you and your team teaching us how to do this.
Oh, Terry's right here. Right on, Terry. Hey, that was a good job, man. That was really good.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
But you will also notice that this training is available to everybody on the team. And what happens when you take shortcuts and you don't use it, it doesn't end in a sale.